Today and Across the Fence, Lynn Jarvis earns high honors from the University of Vermont, and a student project leads to a new cookbook with recipes as diverse as the community. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. A project by a UVM student has led to a new cookbook from one of Vermont's most diverse communities. The student is a senior at the UVM Honors College and graduating with a degree in dietetics, nutrition, and food sciences. He worked with the Winooski School District, and that's where the story gets interesting. Ethan Smith joins me this afternoon to explain how his student project led to a new cookbook. Welcome. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
So how did your relationship start with the Winooski School District?
Well, actually, my roommate does a lot of community service work with the district. And one day she came to me and said that this teacher that she's really close with has a bunch of recipes that she's been trying to turn into a community cookbook for the past 8 years. Mm-hmm. And she knew that I love food, I love cooking, and I love nutrition, and that I could kind of help get that project off the ground. And so that's kind of where it all got started, and I just kind of dove in.
Mm-hmm. And so there's also a purpose kind of behind this book too. It's to raise funds. Yeah.
So the idea was to kind of use the cookbook as a fundraiser for the Winooski PTO. Mm-hmm. And so they are currently for sale right now. And yeah, you can pick one up.
$10, we should mention?
$10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about the Winooski community and what it meant to collect all these recipes.
Yeah, so the Winooski community is really diverse. The very first day that I went in with Lisa, I was just impressed by the efforts that they make to provide for their students and create such a peaceful and welcoming environment for everybody. And so that kind of really inspired me, and I tried to put that into the cookbook, and the design and just kind of the care that I put into it, just to, yeah.
And so how did making the cookbook challenge you?
It was challenging in some ways, but okay. So
labor of love, clearly.
Yeah, it was definitely a labor of love. So there was a challenge in getting the recipes, creating a good form for mm-hmm. recipe submissions. Editing the recipes was a challenge. Calculating nutrition facts for the recipes was also a challenge.
Because you were talking about some ingredients that you hadn't even heard of before.
Yeah, there's so many diverse recipes from different cultures, and things like eggplant or maybe some kind of special fish sauce that you can only get at a specialty market mm-hmm. were included in some of the recipes.
So let's take a walk through the cookbook, because you mentioned some unusual ingredients, but then there's some very simple recipes too, like this one for avocado and strawberry salad. Just 2 medium avocados chopped, 3/4 cup fresh strawberries halved, and a head of romaine lettuce chopped, and some lime juice. That's it.
Yeah, so there's some really simple recipes, super easy to make, and then there's some more involved ones, so there's a great mm-hmm. range there. So it starts out with appetizers and soups and salads. There's mm-hmm. lots of great dips, tea sandwiches, things that would be great for a party, and then we move into vegetables and side dishes. Mm-hmm. So we got some squash, some great vegetable side dishes. This is the recipe I was talking about for eggplant, fried eggplant from Bangladesh. And then there's simple things like fluffy white rice. Mm-hmm. And then we move into the larger part of the cookbook, which are the entrees. So we have chili con carne, a fish fry, a grilled summer seafood salad. So some more involved ones, and then also some great desserts, some great simple desserts, and then mm-hmm. some more complex ones.
And there are sort of quotations in each chapter too.
Yeah, so at the start of each section, we included a quote that's related to cooking and food. So this one says, "An apron is just a cape on backwards." Another one says, "One day I'm going to make the onions cry."
That's great.
Yeah.
And there are also some cooking tips as well. Why did you think it was important to include those?
Yeah, so there's some really awesome cooking tips, some things that I didn't even know until I discovered them. One of the things that I tried to include, though, were food safety tips. So make sure you're cooking your poultry to 165 or your ground beef to 155. I believe there's some great hand washing tips and some food storage tips as well.
And so tell me a little bit about the help that you had to make this all happen.
Yeah, so I had help from the Winooski community. All of the recipes are sourced from the community members, and it really wouldn't have been possible without them. I had some great help from Lisa Getz, the third grade teacher, who I worked really closely with and who's also part of the PTO. She provided the quotations, she helped with editing, she helped get some of the recipes to me. She was vital in this process. I also had some really great help from the University of Vermont dietetics students. We wanted to make the cookbook cohesive, so we received all these recipes written very differently. Some procedures are written as steps, some as paragraphs. And we also wanted to include nutrition facts. So I enlisted about 19 UVM students, all dietetics majors, and they helped bring the cookbook together and make it cohesive and help to edit any typos and things like that.
So once it was put together and you brought it back to the school to show the students, what was the reaction like?
It was just excitement. I brought it straight to Lisa Getz, the third grade teacher, and all of her students huddled around her, and they flipped through every page, and it was just great seeing all of them happy, seeing their names in print, and the pictures and everything. So it was really rewarding. And
so what are you going to do now with your degree from UVM?
I am going to Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio, for a graduate degree in Masters of Public Health Nutrition and a dietetic internship.
And so what would be your dream job after that?
My dream job would be, it's a great question. I would love to do private practice. I would love to work in a hospital. I'd also love to work in the community. I will have a degree in public health nutrition, so something in that field would be really awesome.
Sounds to me like you'll always kind of have that community involvement.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, that's terrific. Well, the book is just out. It costs $10, as we mentioned, and at this time it's only available by going to the Winooski School District office. That may change, but again, for now, the cookbook is only available for purchase at the Winooski School District office. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
All right, our next segment is about one of our very own. Former Across the Fence producer Lynn Jarvis was honored last week by the University of Vermont. At the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences annual Alumni and Friends Dinner, Lynn was awarded the Sinclair Cup. The award is named for Robert Sinclair. He's a former dean of the college whose service to the college and extension spanned from 1944 to 1987. In receiving the 2017 Sinclair Cup, Lynn was honored for his long record of distinguished service to UVM Extension and the College of Agriculture. The award ceremony recognized Lynn's exemplary career and highlighted his commitment to education through mass communication. Lynn, we're very proud of you. From all of us here at Across the Fence, congratulations. Well, with the growing season drawing closer, we want to be sure that you know how to get answers to any of your gardening and landscaping questions. UVM's Plant Diagnostic Clinic and Master Gardener Helpline are staffed with experts who can answer your questions. Recently, Across the Fence stopped by to touch base about the key questions that are coming in this time of year.
We're in the Plant Diagnostic Clinic and at the Master Gardener Helpline, and it's been a busy spring. We're seeing lots of new and different things, a lot of the same old things too, but a lot of disease ID. A disease called cedar apple rust on junipers has been a common question. We've had a lot of information come in asking about weed ID, things like that. A lot of fruit tree questions, how to fertilize, what do I need to do for disease control on fruit trees. So it's always busy this time of year, but it's always something new and different.
What else are you seeing or hearing about in May? You've got some examples here.
Yeah, I've got some examples here. One is a really common disease that's pretty noticeable this time of year called cedar apple rust. And right now on juniper trees, there are these big orange gelatinous galls and spore horns that home gardeners get really upset about. They look like they're alien beings from another planet. So we've seen some of that. I also have a disease that came in on raspberries called crown gall. It's a soil-borne bacterium that gets on raspberry plants. That was a question that came in this week. Also, just today, we had a question on amelanchier and some lichens on an amelanchier with a canker disease, and the home gardener wanted to know what should they do about that, how, should they prune it out, things like that.
What have you said to folks? Should they prune it out?
Yeah, they should prune it out. Go ahead and prune it out. The lichens on the amelanchier just indicate that it's growing slowly, so if they prune out the disease part and then fertilize the plant, that should help. We have had a lot of questions about how things have overwintered. I think we had a pretty good drought last year, so I think we're seeing a lot of stress this spring, and things are slow to come out also. We've had questions about that. We've had cool, rainy conditions, and plants are a little farther behind than they are usually. So we get a lot of questions like that. But everybody needs to sit tight. It'll warm up soon, too soon probably.
The Master Gardener Helpline is staffed with trained volunteers to provide you with answers to your home gardening and horticulture questions. To reach the helpline toll-free, call 1-800-639-2230. That's 800-639-2230, or the website, which is uvm.edu/mastergardener. Well, we're going to take a moment to go behind the scenes of the Helpline. Here's Across the Fence's Keith Silva.
If you've got a question about your garden, Carl Dorner is your man.
Vermont Master Gardener Helpline.
Dorner volunteers at the University of Vermont Extension Master Gardener Call Center.
Do you have a lot of these plants? Do they all look the same? I enjoy talking to people, number one. I believe in the mission of Extension, and that's probably my primary reason. I think it's important to provide access to science-based research in the solution of horticulture and agricultural problems, and to extend that information to homeowners, not just to commercial growers. And that's what we do here. So I find it very rewarding. I like being able to set people's mind at rest. People invest a lot of themselves into their gardens and their home landscapes. And when they have a problem, it's a problem. If you have any further questions, please feel free to give us a call.
Volunteers at the Helpline take about 2,000 calls a year. Since the Vermont Master Gardener program started in 1991, the Helpline has received 42,000 calls. Heather Carrington is the program's coordinator.
The UVM Extension Master Gardener Helpline is a resource for all Vermonters to get answers to their home gardening questions. It's staffed entirely by volunteers who have been trained in the Extension Master Gardener course. So they've had 45 hours of training from UVM Extension faculty on all aspects of sustainable home horticulture. There aren't that many resources that are available for the home gardener. There are plenty of resources available for commercial gardeners. But what this does is it gives all Vermonters access to the research-based information being developed at the University of Vermont.
The Helpline aligns with UVM's obligation as a land-grant university.
It's one of the missions of Extension, actually, as a land-grant university, to share the science-based information research that's being developed there. So we really do keep it exactly to that. In fact, actually, our volunteers are prohibited from giving that sort of folksy home remedies answer to questions. So they actually have to use research and science-based information, and that's what they've been trained in the first place as Extension Master Gardeners. When they're doing research on it, they'll only refer to .edu, which would be university-based websites, or .gov websites. So they're not going to be looking into folk remedies.
Rob-Lee Smith became a Master Gardener this year. For her, volunteering at the Helpline provides an experience as distinct as Vermont itself.
Plants are so vital to our life. I mean, it's not simply food and shelter and clothing, but the oxygen we breathe. It is the biology of life, and so that's terribly important. You know, it's so nice to be able to specialize in Vermont's gardening, because that is unique, and you can't gain that knowledge anywhere else.
Thanks to the internet, there are more resources and more information. But all those pages and websites can't replace talking with someone one-on-one.
I think people want the interaction. This phone, this interactive resource, I think is more valuable to people than just browsing the internet for information. And that's what I want. I want to be able to tell someone what's going on, to hear get feedback from them as to maybe I'm not thinking about the most important thing. I think the interactive nature of our work is what people are looking for, and it's what I look for when I call.
The UVM Extension Master Gardener Helpline. a resource for answers to your gardening questions. Pick up the phone and give them a call. In South Burlington, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Well, thank you, Keith, and thank you for joining us. That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. I'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.